My testimony, before I go any further, I think that my testimony is important. How I came to know Jesus Christ and what went into that, how I was before. How old I was. I was 14 years old. It was 1991, and um, it was in June and then into July. I got saved July 4th, but it was in June. I went to a church camp. A little background: I wasn't all raised in church. I didn't start going to church until I was later. 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. Then I started going to go to church with my dad, and uh, I wasn't completely on board. I thought Christians were really weird, and they are. To be honest, a lot of Christians are pretty weird. Um, I wasn't on board. I believed Jesus was good. I believed that the Bible was interesting, and I thought that people in church were spiritualists. They were playing with spiritualism. Um, I definitely believed there was a God because to me it was just evident. Even when I was really little, I'm just looking around. It's like there had to have been a God. This all could not have just existed by itself and just poof. And still to this day, I mean, you just look around. Did all this just kind of exist by itself? No, get out of here with that. Um, so, but with that, even though I believed that there was a God, I didn't believe we could know who He was, and I didn't believe that I wasn't. Like I said, I believed Jesus was good, but I didn't believe He was the Son of God, or I wasn't sure. Then, anyways, I wasn't. I didn't like Christians. I didn't like church that much. But I went to this church camp. My dad forced me to. I was very upset, and I could not stand it. In the first several days of camp, when it was church services, I just sat there at the very back. I drew, talked to friends. I couldn't wait to get out of there. And I think it was the third or fourth day, um, I had a little interest because they began to talk about the end times. Um, and that always piqued my interest because I believed that everything was going to come to an end. And logic tells you that because people die, animals die, everything dies, so why not the earth? And why not everybody? So to me, it made sense that, okay, I want to hear about this. What do they got to say? So I actually, the last couple of days, the last 3 days, I kind of moved a little bit closer to the front because I wanted to hear what they had to say. And they talked about the 7 year tribulation period that's coming, and it is coming, and about Jesus' return, and He is returning. And the very last night, I was one of the last people to finally decide to go to the front, and it wasn't out of fear. I remember before I went to the front, I even told God in my head, I was like, I want to come to you and I want to be made right. And Jesus, I want to place my faith in you, but I don't want to do it out of fear. I don't want to be scared. I want to do it because I want to be made right. Because I love you out of love. I don't want to do it out of fear. And I even said in my heart, I said, if I'm in this tribulation period, I deserve it. Because I reject you. But I don't want to do that. And so I finally went up to the front. I acted like I was praying for somebody else because this was a denomination and people were kind of rowdy. And it made me nervous, so I acted like I was praying for somebody else. But I was waiting for somebody to tell me how to accept Christ. What to say. I didn't know what to do. And finally somebody caught up after everything was done, and somebody stood up while all these kids were up there, and I'm up there acting like I'm praying for somebody. And he said, I feel like somebody hasn't accepted Christ and you want to. And he had us all bow our heads, and we all prayed the prayer at the same time. And when he did that, I was just so relieved. I don't know how to tell you how relieved I was. I was so happy. And I prayed that prayer. And like I said, I just wanted to be made right. I didn't think of anything. I was just like, I just want to be made right with God. And I knew I was a sinner. And As soon as I prayed that prayer, before I even opened my eyes, I felt completely different. And it's not about feelings, but in my heart, I mean, I knew I was different. I could tell. And I felt like brand new. And I opened my eyes and everything just looked beautiful to me. It was the same room, but everything looked so beautiful. I felt so different. And I was so glad. I sat there and actually raised my hands. I'm still not big on raising hands that much, but I raised my hands and just stayed there. I was the last person in that building. Everybody else went out to eat burgers, and they had free burgers for everybody. I was the last person in line. And I never will forget eating those burgers that I got, sitting by myself. How different food tasted. Everything was just different. And how grateful I was to be eating those burgers. I was just so happy. I didn't care that they weren't perfect or anything like that. I was so happy. And it was like eating food for the very first time in my entire life. And you know, I can honestly say every day after I'm done praying, I have my coffee, and it always feels like that. You know, every morning I'm made new. But that was when I accepted Christ, and I was totally made new, man. It blew my mind. I did not know I was going to feel like that. I mean, I knew in that instant that Jesus Christ was real, and I knew heaven was real and hell was real. I knew it all in that moment. Before that moment, I didn't know. I just wanted to be made right. But after I prayed that prayer, I knew that I knew Jesus Christ was the Son of God. Now, of course, since then, I've made my mistakes, and I've accepted bad doctrine because I didn't understand. But the Holy Spirit has pruned me, has stayed after me, and I tell you what, man, life is awesome. Not perfect, because I'm not perfect. I'm still flesh. Haven't gone on to heaven yet, but man, I'm grateful. I am grateful, and I hope that this testimony and the other message just blesses one or two people. I don't care if it's just one person is worth it. Jesus is worth making that decision. He's that awesome, and God is that awesome. To be reunited with our Father in heaven, it's just that awesome. And so I just encourage everybody, if you've never accepted Christ, look at one of these next videos, and the one where it says, I want to accept Christ, and just follow the simple prayer. I hope you make that decision. If not, God bless you anyways, Talk to you later.